just to make it meaningful, what you're going to hear over the next 10 minutes or so, let's provide you some context. I mean, let's start with what is actually leadership about. I mean, as you know, most of you are using that definition. Leaders are the guys who take their followers from point A to point B. Now, we grew up in a region, I'm talking about Central Eastern Europe, once upon a time it was called the Second World, where there are a lot of followers and very few leaders. So we historically had a very big handicap of leaders. I mean, there are other things that were awarded, cultivated, motivated people to basically behave about. But basically what we discovered after the collapse of the Berlin Wall, that very few companies could keep their independence or kind of grow to international status. And a lot of them were acquired by Western companies, or some of them are still kept under state control. So we basically, the first thing, as you say, necessity is the mother of invention. The most critical thing we were missing in our transformation from central learned economy to market-based economy is leaders. So that's why we turned everything into that direction, and that's our case is based on that premise. If you don't understand that context, they will be wondering what these guys are doing. We're not smoking anything, we're just responding to an actual necessity, okay? Secondly, and we're going to talk about this one, a case of an independent company which is a 100-year-old company in the oil and gas business, which we already kind of got introduced to by an honorable speaker who was talking about how they build refineries, okay? And we all grew up in the generation when we all were afraid that the world is going to run out of oil. And all the question was, what do we do when we run out of oil? Now, it turns out, similarly to the Stone Age didn't finish because they ran out of stones, that the world might not need any more oil before we run out of it. So this company faced this thing. What do we do then? We have been doing that for 100 years. We have a market cap about 10 billion. We have 2.5 billion kind of gross cash flow every year. I'm talking about euros. So what do we need here? And the answer was exactly the same thing. We need a little bit more leaders who would take us to the point B in the future where there is no need for oil anymore. And Zdravka will talk about exactly how this company tried to align around the strategy that you see on this page, where how we are basically trying to prepare for the world where we don't need oil anymore. Zdravka?
Thank you very much. So it's my pleasure to be here. So basically, I will get very practical. I'm from the corporate side, and we partnered with the SEED as a business school in our challenge. So I will give you a very tactical and a practical example just right before the lunch, how we did it. So basically, our leadership challenges, as Anthony already mentioned, were around the contextual change of leadership, becoming a more international player, as being headquartered in Hungary, Budapest, and going beyond to Middle East and the North Sea. So we had a really high need for diverse leaders as well. We were also experiencing a great capability gap in terms of our core divisions, primarily upstream and downstream. So mid-careers kind of disappearing and ensuring the knowledge transfer. And with our 2030 strategy, we are going a bit beyond the conservative oil and gas business. So we are entering the arena of innovative businesses and services. So we are entering mobility, car sharing services, utilizing our service network for different services. So we need lots of leaders with different context in terms of innovation, customer centricity, and the change management. So this was the leadership challenge and how we approached it together with the business school. So basically what we did together with our senior leadership, we had very thorough analysis of our so-called red threads. So it was 5 core areas, but as you can see in a nutshell, it was really around collaboration of the teams, skill set for the future, change, and customer centricity and innovation. So we identified, so this will be the umbrella where we are going to work around, and we are going to develop our own program together with the business schools. So what was the solution? Solution was a leadership development program. We started from the very emerging leaders, growing leaders, and advanced leaders across the board. So we are 30,000 employees across 14 countries. So we started with a very unique, focused, structured approach towards it, with really future forward-looking curricula, with clear project work involved, so very tangible. And we partnered with the 3 schools, two schools from the region, because we think it's very important, being headquartered in Central Eastern Europe, and we also build on with Thunderbird from Arizona in terms of the global oil and gas knowledge, in terms of the business school management. So we did it unique also in terms of approach towards the business schools, so they all cooperated together and developed and designed, co-designed together with us the program. I will not talk that much about it, but I will focus a bit more on the selection process, which was very, very thorough and custom-made. So we basically had the self-application, the leadership nomination, the manager's endorsement, set of skills, set of questionnaires, etc. Then we worked very closely with Korn and Ferry assessment of leadership potential. We kind of shortlisted. We had very thorough analysis and debate on our executive board, so putting the attention how it is important that there is endorsement from the top. And then we went into the assessment centers together with the business schools again, so they were part of our assessment centers, getting to know our leaders already during the assessment process, and then the finalist again was endorsed by executive board. So I'm going a bit detail here just to show you that the commitment is very much important, and the very, very early involvement both from the business schools and the senior leadership as well. It's a modular approach, so I will not talk much about it. It's for growing emerging leaders, 1-year program, 4 or 5 modules, primarily focusing on change, customer centricity, collaboration. There is peer-to-peer mentoring. There is interlinked curricula in between the courses, etc. And let me talk and jump to the results. I think this is the most important part to see what was the outcome. So basically, we passed in these 3 years programs, which we are running since 2013, almost 200 people. We have really high retention rate and, even more important, very high promotion rate. We have 32 projects which are going live, so there is a business context, so it's not just for the learning purposes, so we are adding value to our business and our 2030 strategy. And we are very proud that it was also recognized by the HR community externally, so we got also 2 awards for the design and cooperation with the schools as well. Testimonials, yearbook, some kind of enhanced features from this year. So as I said, interlinked curricula, peer mentoring. We have also alumni event, which is a big event where the previous cohorts are coming together, discussing the strategy and the business challenges together with the business leaders. So this would be in a nutshell from my end, and I can call back Anthony to kind of close with a Seed Business School context.
So let's go back one step, get away from the company. There is a gentleman who was talking, I think from France, about their experience with business schools and so on and so forth. Why we decided to go beyond this company, because actually the need is similar, the same. And honestly, there was one thing: necessity is the mother of invention. With all due respect, the traditional business schools are damn expensive for Central East European executive compensations. So it is very difficult to imagine how somebody is going to invest in somebody a multiple of his annual salary in order to prepare him for that. So basically, our task was to create a school which actually combines no compromises on quality, best in class, but it is affordable. And the way we did it, with all due respect, we actually use a lot of recently retired, but still completely with working brains, people who were CEOs for 15 to 20 years in different companies, mostly leading companies. And these guys are not so eager on compensation and hourly per diems, daily per diems, and you name it. And then it's how you can make it happen. We are focused actually on 3 things. Now that jumps. We're focused actually, we have programs for leaders. These are the people whose subordinates are managers. I mean, just definition of terms, technical term. Then managers are people who actually have only direct subordinates. Well, at the beginning, we were running mixed programs for managers and leaders, and it was not, I mean, they couldn't, the context was different. And they had different orientations, so we decided to separate those. And then, of course, we have, in order to be a school and be accredited and so on and so forth, you have to have a formal degree issuing program. And for some of the young talents, we do an executive MBA. We're looking for partners among business schools. At the moment, we have a partnership agreement with Maastricht. I don't know whether you're in the room, because at the moment, we still can't get through the bureaucracy and the red tape to get the accreditation needed for that. But that's more classical MBA, can transition to general management, a guy who wants to know everything that's happening in a company. So far, we had 250 participants. We focus on the region. Fortunately, unfortunately, you know, more than 65% of our participants are from Hungary, and less than 35% are from the neighboring countries. But hopefully, we'll change that over time. We have represented 14 countries. Great feedback so far, both from the participants and both from the companies. We have heard spontaneously that that's really, it is very, I mean, we try to be practical, as you would imagine, with so many chief executives in the room. Our ratio of participants to faculty is actually one of the lowest in the world. We don't allow that ratio to go higher than 5. And that's why we can't use the flying guys from Harvard, because actually the continuous presence and mentoring and coaching session on ad hoc basis in between classes, in between courses, is actually an essential part of the people to develop. We're developing leaders here. We're not trying to teach how do you do an Excel spreadsheet. We're not teaching hard skills. We're actually teaching soft things. So the continuous presence and the hand-holding is part of the whole thing. That's how we can afford it, because we take people who charge much less what is the value they create. And the value, what we create for the companies, exceeds much the cost that they pay for these programs. So just to make sure, yesterday, I don't know whether you remember my saying at the opening, the third requirement when you do public appearances is shut up to be appreciated. And actually, I guess I'm the first speaker who saved 5 minutes of the clock. And we are the first speakers with Zdravka, so we get credit. I hope you reflect that in your voting on the cases, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you.